Alex Murdaugh, he is back in the news because the South Carolina Supreme Court said, yeah, we'll hear your case, and probably rightfully so, quite honestly. Of course, it's going back to the jury tampering allegations against Becky Hill that we saw earlier in the year, where the lower court said, we're going to push this off to an appellate court. It didn't go there. It went to the Supreme Court of South Carolina, and they could end up granting him a new trial, believe it or not. Joining me to discuss, Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI special agent. What's your take on this, where it's going all the way to the highest court in the land?
Well, you and I, Tony, have discussed this case so many times as it was happening, and both of us, this case gave us some pause, right? You have the clerk court or the clerk of the court, which has such a strong and significant role during any trial. That is who the jurors see day in and day out. That is who they look up to for direction. They really hold such an important role in the court system. And you remember, they're an elected official. This isn't just a clerk, like some people might use that word.
Mm-hmm.
And just the fact that this juror Z, as you'll recall, said that indeed words that she would say, such as watch his emotions closely, or watch his
Mm-hmm.
facial expression closely. Remember, Tony, that juror said they felt like she had decided Murdaugh was guilty.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that had an influence, at least on that juror.
And if it influenced at least one juror, then yeah, you got to throw the thing out. You got to start over again. I've been saying you got to take Alex Murdaugh out of this equation. Put any case in there. Make it something frivolous. If there is a juror that felt they were tampered with, or that they were influenced by someone outside that should not have been influencing them, you got to try it again. Unfortunately, it's going to cost the taxpayers millions and millions of dollars to bring Alex Murdaugh back in for a part two.
Well, and I definitely believe the evidence showed that he was guilty of this crime. And the reason, though, I think that the scale tipped in the direction of a guilty verdict was because he took the stand,
Mm-hmm.
and he just fell apart on the stand. It was a hot mess. He could not answer questions regarding that video that was taken. He looked like an absolute liar. The prosecution kept that ace in the hole. They're going to know better this time. He's not going to take the stand. And so I think that that's really going to hurt the prosecution's case if there is another retrial.
Yeah, I do too. Is there any repercussions? Are we going to see more or any repercussions here against Becky Hill at this point? If the Supreme Court, which I'm guessing they likely will, but they haven't ruled on it yet, but if they do say yes, Alex Murdaugh gets a new trial, does that open up more floodgates against Becky Hill, either criminally or financially, for her role in essentially, pushing this off the cliff and allowing this to happen like this?
Well, Tony, she's facing so many, at least administrative charges already.
Hmm.
Financially, her book was taken off the shelf. She doesn't have a job anymore. Her credibility, her reputation has just absolutely been trashed. And at the end of the day, she could be the crux of a reason that, if found not guilty on this go around, that somebody who committed this crime, at least in many people's views, and including those jurors, why somebody could walk free. I don't think she'll face any criminal charges, because I think that's just how she conducted herself.
Hmm.
I think she said what she wanted, whatever came off the top of her head. And I don't think it was meant to be criminal in nature. I think that's just what she was thinking. I don't expect criminal charges. And Tony, I don't know whether this is going to be reversed or not. I think it's going to be a split decision either way.
Yeah, it's going to be very fascinating. Let's assume we're going to see a new Alex Murdaugh trial, the part two of this saga. We were talking a little bit earlier about that with Alex Murdaugh on the stand in part one. Part two, where do you think this goes? Are we going to see some different tactics here? Are we going to see maybe a third party being brought up into this? Because in round one, it was just Alec didn't do this. Are they going to bring that theory? And I'm wondering well, it was somebody else. and here's why. And I don't know. I mean, where do you think it's going to go?
Well, I think the issue with that is there's just no evidence that exists that they can rightfully express from a legal standpoint for the third party culprit. They
Hmm.
just don't have any evidence, and you can't just throw out, Tom, Dick, and Harry did something without any evidence
Hmm.
that they did. We saw that limitation even in the Karen Reed trial, where the judge said, "Listen, you can't bring it up. You can sort of try to draw it out of different witnesses, but you can't bring it up because you haven't shown me any evidence that
Hmm.
anybody else could have done this crime." See the same issue happening here. I think they'll continue to play on the fact that, he was married all of those years. There's never been any domestic violence or abuse in the past. I think they'll again play up his addiction. And again, I think really what tipped the scale, I hate to repeat myself, was him taking the stand.
Hmm.
And so I do fear that because this is such a circumstantial case, other than
Hmm.
that video directly puts him at the scene of the crime.
Hmm.
So they're going to be much smarter about not indicating that he wasn't down there. They're going to have to come up with a better excuse of why he was at the kennels and that he left before the murders took place.
Do you think they're going to be able to convince him not to testify? I guess that's the question because it is Alex Murdaugh. Obviously, he testified against the advice of his counsel, and he's a narcissist. I don't know, that doesn't change. That part of the equation will always be there. It does make me wonder if he's planning on it already and already kind of working up what he's going to say.
I just don't think he will. I don't think he'll take another bite of the apple after what transpired the last time. Um, I do find it very interesting, though, that he doesn't, at least that we know of, we know he stole millions and millions of dollars, but it doesn't seem like he has deep pockets. I'm wondering, are they still going to be able to afford their expert witnesses at probably, $500 an hour or so? Are they going to be able to afford the counsel, or is this going to be completely pro bono? Or is there a lot of money in the coffers that are hidden that we can't see?
Yeah.
So I find it very interesting to see, I guess, how much money is going to be able to support that defense team.
Well, and where is the money going to come from is the big question too. If it's not there, or if it's already somewhere. I mean, it was very surprising to see. I mean, the way that Dick and Jim lived when they were representing him in that like massive estate with the pool and the chef and all of this as the defense counsel. That right there seemed rather bizarre. If like you're going to be going down on these charges here and these charges here financially, why are we spending this kind of money on these sort of things? Or was it just maybe the goal there was simply let's get rid of as much of my money as I possibly can right now?
Well, yes. I mean, when you consider a couple of points, right? No matter what, he's spending likely the rest of his life in prison for his financial crimes. This is really all about he doesn't want to be remembered as the guy who was convicted for slaying his
Mhm.
wife and his son.
Yeah.
I think that's what it all comes down to. This is just, uh, only for that reason. I think that they're going to stick with representing him only because of the limelight.
Hmm.
And I mean, look, this has put them in front of the South Carolina Supreme Court.
Hmm.
So few cases are ever taken by any state Supreme Court. This is big, and they're going to be able to argue it. I think if they win, they'll still represent him, even if they're not getting paid very much.
Well, I mean, the attention and the publicity. I mean, it's changed the life of them going forward. For just that reason. Do you think we're going to see the family sticking by Alec the same way that they did on round one, or I'm wondering if opinions or hearts have changed at this point?
That's a good question with Buster. I really believe that Murdaugh family is tight. They're bound by blood and tradition, and I think a lot has gone. badly for that family in the past and they've always just stuck by each other. I think they'll probably still stick by each other.
Hmm.
Um, and also, they have a lot of money,
Hmm.
and that could be what is used to filter to these attorneys to pay for this defense in the future. I mean, look at the amount of time they're going to have to spend on these briefs and their presentation before the Supreme Court. This is not a few hours. This
No.
is really dozens and dozens of hours that this legal counsel, and I just can't believe they're doing it pro bono.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating to watch. And like, yeah, you're right. There is money there. May not be in Alex's possession, but the family certainly has it. And as long as they're behind him, I think he can probably afford whatever he needs to take this on.
Yeah, he's bamboozled so many people for so long. And, unfortunately, Becky Hill might have handed him a retrial on a silver platter.
Yeah. Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.